Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Splash Page. I'm Sean, and as always, I'm joined by Andrew. Andrew, what'd you think?
Holy
So we just finished watching Season 1's finale episode of Invincible, and our minds are absolutely blown by the sheer amount of violence, intensity, and honestly, just a really good wrap up for a season. We're gonna dive into the big story, which is obviously Nolan and Mark and their relationship and what happens on screen. And then we're going to touch upon all of the other things that happen after Nolan leaves the planet, because I think there's a lot of great stuff in there leading into what we now know will at a minimum be seasons 2 and 3, as the show has been greenlit. So we will be getting at a minimum 2 more seasons of Invincible. We are beyond excited. Obviously, we plan to keep doing this throughout the break and then for the next 2 seasons. So hopefully you guys continue with us, keep watching, because we love doing it. So, Wins, we get right back to the end of episode 7, where Mark and Nolan are flying in the sky, and Nolan comes clean. And the great point about this, and if you guys have watched our videos in the past, you know we've kind of been hinted to this. Hopefully, I haven't spoiled anything for you guys. But the story Nolan told Mark about Viltrum was true, with one brutal exception. And that is that they didn't go around the galaxy helping people. They went around conquering. And they did so in an absolutely brutal way, which even starts with their own kind.
Yeah, that was so insane. Just literal survival of the fittest, half the planet dead. It looked like something out of a nightmare. Just everyone murdering each other, flying through the other. It was nuts.
Yeah, and it was so close to the scene that they used in the first episode. Mm-hmm. I think it's actually the same cartoon, the same people that were flying around having a good time, and then they're like cutting each other apart. So it just furthers that he was telling the truth, but leaving out obviously a very key part. And then a quick a comic book Easter egg. When we are looking at Viltrum, we do see, I believe this is Conquest, which, for you show watchers, just remember this beautiful mug. He will be relevant in upcoming seasons.
Good to know. I will say the question has finally been answered. Viltrumite women do not have mustaches.
Right.
I needed to know that.
We finally got to that point.
I needed to know that, and they came through and answered. So thank you.
Yeah, so as Mark and Nolan are fighting each other in the sky, Nolan is attempting to make a few points to Mark as to why he should be fighting with Nolan, as opposed to against Nolan. They are essentially based around the idea that Viltrumites actually age extraordinarily slow, and as they get older, they age slower. So by the time Mark looks 30, everyone he knows will be dead. And why would you want to live on a world where you are so further advanced from a biological standpoint that the world won't even exist, and the world that Viltrum society comes from would essentially be untouched and continue on as it's going.
I enjoyed listening to all his arguments, which were pretty much the same argument over and over again, is said in slightly different ways. We're stronger than them, and we live much longer than them. And I love how J.K. Simmons' voice acting, this makes perfect sense to him. It's beyond him how Mark can think any other way. How can anyone think differently? This is the way it is. This is the way it's always been.
Yeah, but obviously Mark was raised as a human, right? And he loves his mother. And in the comic as well, he continually says, like, no, Dad, you love me and you love Mom. And Nolan makes the reference to "I love your mom," like similar to how I would love a pet, which is again a lift from the comics. I believe.
Word for word.
So, and now it hurts. There's a level of pain in there. I have to say that some of the animation that comes after this, after just the general fight between Nolan and Mark, is some of the most cringy, like. You can't believe you're seeing it animation.
It was so brutal.
They are attacked by two fighter jets, and Mark saves one of the
Yeah.
pilots, only to have Nolan come down and pop his
Yeah.
head right in front of
Because
Mark.
people do
Then
not
from
matter.
there, yeah, they don't. From there, you have the fight that enters Chicago. So they blow up a building. The building falls down. Mark is flying through the streets, like cutting people in half by mistake, just because of the momentum of him flying around. He tries to save the woman and the daughter when the building is falling down, only to have it fall on him. And he gets up, still holding the hand of now it is a severed arm from the woman. So obviously, everyone in that building.
He's come a long way since he fought those Flaxons, but he still is not able to handle all this on his own. I will say this: It was nice. I'm not going to say nice. But it was nice to see New York not get torn to crap for once.
Finally, it's another city. Then what I have to say is probably one of the most brutal scenes I've ever seen in anything, and it might be the most brutal, was when Mark and Nolan break down into the subway. Nolan holds Mark steady in the middle of a subway train track. And the subway, obviously being a train, can't stop quickly. And the carnage that comes out of just Mark and Nolan standing still, and everyone on the train basically blows
Which is
up.
kind of how they age. They feel like they're standing still and everyone's going right past them. But yeah, he literally just shoves his son through 150 people and a train. Oh,
yes. It's incredibly brutal, and you get the idea that it's brutal in the comic, but it's only a handful of panels, and the majority of it is buildings blowing up and things like that. So when you see it from that scale, you're like, oh yeah, people died, of course. And I think they do say thousands of people died in the fight, but when you make it so personal, like this, like the show did, where you actually see the faces of the people that are getting blown apart, and you hear them talking, and you see the fear on their face. My God, it was intense.
And you have 20 minutes to let this breathe and really show what happens instead of just a couple panels. Yeah, you got to fill that with something. And they did good work.
Yeah, and Nolan is so cold-blooded. Again, he does the same thing in the book. I don't want to make it seem like the show is going into some different direction, but he's just, I don't know, it just comes across differently.
It really does.
There's more of a humanity in it, where he's just like, I need to do this, but I need to do this, but I don't want to do it. Here is just like having fun with it, almost like laughing. But they fly all over the world fighting each other, through a cruise ship, into a mountain. I think it's important, and everyone probably gets this point, that the end of the fight between Mark and Nolan happens the same way as well, with the exception is we don't get that nice flashback scene of Nolan being at Mark's baseball game and having the joy of seeing him succeed at something and kind of feeling more paternal.
I really love that baseball scene for this reason, actually. In the book, Debbie mentions that she taught Nolan how to be human, and in the show we get to see her teach Nolan how to be human, where she's sitting with him and going, this is our son. We get joy from our son. We watch him do things and we're happy. It was nice to see.
Yeah, that was great. But the line, and it's chilling in the show and it's chilling in the book, when Nolan's like, what will you have? Mark's a heap of bones and blood on his way out for sure. And he says, you, Dad, I'll still have you. So, in 500 years when everything else is gone, why are you still going to want to be here? What's still going to connect you to this world? And his dad would, if his dad would have stayed and not done what he did. Breaks Nolan. Nolan flies away.
Now he can't stay.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And what happens in this happens in the comic super early. So that's the big difference.
I think this was issue 12 where he flew away.
Yeah, so a lot of the fights and a lot of the things that happen, Nolan's off planet for in the comic. And here he's been a big part of the show. And I guess you get J.K. Simmons. You're not going to, kick him out after 2 episodes, 3 episodes. But overall, I think the show has done a masterful job of building this suspense and really allowing us to learn to kind of love and then hate and fear the Omni-man character.
They did a really great job. and they really improved on a really impressive comic book. So that's something you don't often see when you transfer something from one medium to another. You often lose something. I think we gained a lot here. Well, from there we get to see Mark in the hospital. He's healing. He's in traction, and Debbie, as always, is there to tell him that she's proud of him. But you do catch her outside crying. She's holding it together when people are around, but barely. And we run into Cecil in the hallway there, who actually might be a good guy. Like, it's been hard to tell this whole series whether he's like a decent person or not. But just the fact that he couldn't figure out that Nolan was doing what he was doing, he seems like he's going to try as hard as he can to kind of at least help Debbie and Mark get back together. And we get to see the Invisible Room, which comes out of issue 13. That room where he just flips the light on and off and just everything appears and disappears. Because they put stuff in our water, so that we can't see a certain wavelength of light. And I love the idea of that room, and that's where those invisible soldiers come from. And you can see in the corner of the room, they're patching up the Immortal. So that's exciting. Yeah, hopefully. Does he come back in the books? I mean, I would hope so. But
yes, he does. He plays a pretty significant role.
Excellent. He is by far one of my top 3 characters in this whole series. Speaking of Immortal and the Guardians, we see the new Guardians kind of coming together and becoming a team. We get to see them back at their HQ after they help do some cleanup work. Rex starts cleaning the blood off the wall. Samson's not so sure they've earned it yet. And when Rex stands up to him, the rest of the team stands up to Samson, and that's when he decides that they become a team.
Yeah, it's a nice moment.
Clean the blood off the wall. It really was a very nice moment for the Guardians to kind of come together and be a solid fighting force. We get to see them practicing a little bit too, so that was fun.
Yeah, part of the montage.
And that moment's where a Monster Girl lets Robot know that he's not a robot anymore. He's Rudy. He doesn't have to follow the rules all the time. Let's go clean up. We go from there to Art making a costume for somebody, I guess. And Debbie kind of knocks on the door, just looking for a friendly shoulder to lean on, someone to talk to, maybe some bourbon to drink. So she drinks with Art, which becomes a thing in the comics. They kind of hint at a drinking problem for Debbie, which
and they've done that. They've done that a bit in the first couple episodes here. A lot of wine, and
but it was like fun wine. It wasn't. And again, her husband just murdered a whole lot of people and almost killed his son. Yeah,
I'm not judging.
Do you ever really know another person, kind of thing? Do you ever really know your dad, or And then Amber shows up at Mark's house, and they kind of make up again, maybe, kind of, sort of. And Eve and William show up at the door. They kind of go out for burgers. William kind of lets it known that they all know that Mark is invincible and his father's Omni-man by accident, but they all know now.
And did you realize when they're at Burger Mart, there's this little, very strange animation continuity error where every time they cut away, one other thing is missing from the table. First, it's 4 cups and a empty burger container. Cut away, come back. It's 3 cups. Cut away, come back. It's like 1 cup or 2 cups, and the burger tray's gone. It just seems strange. Again,
listen, man. They were focusing so hard on shoving Mark through a Subway tray that they couldn't keep track of how many cups were on the table. You know what? Who cares?
Do I have to draw another cup?
We're going to pull a Game of Thrones and just, who cares about the cups on the table?
Right. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and then it gets to the end of the episode, right? And your thought is, well, we have seasons 2 and 3 coming. What's going to be coming in those? And we have this great conversation with Mark and Alan on the moon, where Alan lets him know that there's a Viltrumite on his planet. Obviously, a little late, Alan. And they talk about what that means, that the coalition of planets is actually attempting to build a large enough contingency or army to combat what the Viltrumites are doing. Obviously, he will play a significant role in the next season, as well as seasons beyond that. And then kind of a really awesome last part of the show is we jump into this awesome montage with great music, cutting around to a bunch of different open storylines, just to kind of remind everyone that's been watching the show, we did. We got the big moment we were all waiting for, what was going on with Nolan, but we've opened up so many doors. Like, look at all these storylines that we still have to go through.
And that's something that Kirkman does really well, is set up stories and then let them sit for a long time. And then you're like, oh, right, that's happening. And I'll be honest, the sequence kind of felt like, in a much better way, the last episode of Seinfeld. Like, look at all these great things that we did. We're just going to do a clip show here.
Yeah, it's saved on animation for sure.
Yeah.
No.
Well, they probably didn't know they were getting another season yet when they animated that episode.
Potentially,
so they just wanted to kind of close it all up, but still keep it all open.
So, do you want to quickly go through what was on the montage?
Yeah, so we get to see those sequids again. Sequids, either way. We get to see them just forming a giant, massive wave and taking over Mars, this is one of the most awesome things I've seen in a while, and that's saying a lot in this episode. Mm-hmm. We get to see the Maulers are put back in prison because Robot kind of set them up. Rudy, I keep calling him Robot.
If you call him Robot.
Yeah. If you notice that he's still wearing a robot outfit, so he's got the robot suit. If you notice in the prison scene, that prison guard's got a busted arm. His arm's in a cast. That's because that's the guy the Maulers pulled through the slot to escape from prison in that other episode.
Right.
We get to see the Flaxons making plans, maybe for a comeback sometime. Doc Seismic, who we thought died in a volcano, is apparently running a team of rock people.
Yep.
He's just got a molten rock army. Does he come back in the books? I need to ask you.
I think he does. He does. But he plays he plays a similar role to his first appearance.
Gotcha.
If I remember correctly.
Yeah, he's just a weirdo. We get to see Titan, who's still leading the underworld with Isotope at his side, and some dude who could become a dragon shows up in his office. That was the dragon that Nolan fought in episode 1 or 2 or maybe 3. I don't remember.
I think it was 3.
Yeah. And then we get to see that Cecil's got D.A. Sinclair working on an army of Reanimen for the future.
And we kind of already knew that because they fought Omni-man.
We knew he had a couple of them. Episode. Now we know he has hundreds.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
And we got my personal favorite character, Battle Beast, coming on what looks like a spaceship that he's attacking, and some very scared pink people. But he's obviously going to be back in full force in season 2 and 3. But again, we really just want to thank you guys so much for all the support, all the comments, all the positive vibes and views.
It's been a fun ride.
It's been amazing for us. Obviously, we did this just because we love the comic and wanted to kind of stay in touch as friends. So the fact that other people are watching and enjoying it means the world to us. Please continue to like and follow, and we're going to keep making videos. I think the next show we're going to do is Sweet Tooth, which is another comic. It's under DC's label. It premieres on Netflix on June 4th, I believe. The thing about Netflix is going to be that they're going to release all the episodes at one time. So we're going to have to kind of come up with a plan on how we're going to manage this show. It's going to be obviously quite different than the weekly releases. But, we'll figure that out
we'll do something.
in the near future. Also, please remember, we are doing our giveaway. Once we reach 1,000 subscribers, we'll be giving 2 lucky fans either a Adam Eve toy or a Invincible toy from the Skybound selection. So we are extremely excited to give those away. All you need to do to be entered, like the video, comment on the video, and subscribe to our channel. So super easy. And, knowing that we're not going to get any new Invincible show for probably at a minimum 9 months to a year, stick around. We're going to be producing a lot of great Invincible content, and starting as soon as next week.
Yeah, we've got some more content ready. We'll go deeper into some of the characters and some of the storylines that have already been talked about. So if you're afraid of spoilers, we probably won't go there, but if we do, we'll let you know for sure before the video starts.
Absolutely. Well, I'm Sean. That's Andrew. Thank you guys so much, and we'll talk soon.
Have a great week.
Take it easy.